Yeah, I'd just like to thank all the speakers as well, and Cameron, who we flew over from Canada, and we've utilised and used him to the maximum benefit. It's a big shout out. I'm going to introduce our final speaker. I'm going to ask Rachel to come and do a reading. Young from Sheffield will be coming up to share his experience. This gentleman does tireless work from the moment he gets up to the moment he goes to bed. He's so humble in his approach to what he does. He's got a beautiful personality. He's dead low key. He's just everything about him is just very warm and wonderful. And hopefully he's going to carry, well, I know he's going to carry a strong message today to you guys and that. And I personally want to thank you for the work you do, because I know you do a lot of work. People have spoke highly about you today, this morning and over the weekend. So yeah, Rachel's going to do a reading, Young will follow, and then I'll introduce Dave, the rave. Rachel.
Hello everyone, I'm Rach. Hi, I'm a very grateful recovered addict. These are the Step 10 promises. They're on page 84 of our beautiful big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Love and tolerance of others is our code, and we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol, for by this time sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude towards liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we have been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react, so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Young. I'm a very grateful recovered drug addict. I'm just going to have a moment's silence to acknowledge God. God, please remove the bondage of myself so I can better do your will. Welcome to any newcomers, anyone counting days. You are so welcome here. Why I love those Step 10 promises is because that's what's on offer. We can be placed in this position of neutrality, safe and protected. Safe and protected from ourselves, from that mind that always used to take me back to picking up the first one. I never thought I'd make it out of drug addiction. I was in it for decades. For decades. I'm not going to do a big drug-a-log, although I might do for you, Cameron, because I know you like them. I knew I used differently than other people at 11 years old. I used to sniff glue, take gas. But whereas they would leave it, I would go home and I would take it until I passed out in the bathroom, because I would like getting to that place. Ominous warnings, which I failed to heed. Why would I think it is any different? That's all I know. And, the last 20 years I was a heroin addict, crack cocaine addict. It took me a long, long time to realise that lack of power was my dilemma. I've been in 4 treatment centres, many hospitals, a couple of psychiatric units, detoxes, and okay, I've just thought of something. An example of my Step 1 lack of power. And Cameron was doing a workshop earlier on. And what I know today, my Step 1 tells me, on my own power, I'm going to use again. I've got no delusion that that's not going to be the case. And Step 1 for me if you have step one in your heart, it was only when I truly understood that I'm doomed. And I remember when someone came up to me once and said that. He said, in the rooms of CA, he didn't say, like a lot of good-meaning people did, it's going to be all right. You've got this. And the truth is, when I come into the rooms of CA, I've just got a bag full of misery. I live in a city called Self-Pity City, where God seems to pipe REM, Everybody Hurts, through the clouds. Bottle of vodka in one hand, bag of smack in the other. That's where I exist, unrecovered, unwell. So you've got this. I haven't got anything. I'm a ticking time bomb, in fact. I'm a ticking time bomb. But this one guy in CA came up to me, quite a militant. There's a few militant crew in there, but, everyone's got their own path. And I was thinking about the speakers over the weekend. Really, we've all got the same song, but just have a different melody. We're all saying the same thing. We're all shouting about God, higher power. We're saying 12 steps, Cocaine Anonymous. I have to get connected to this power. I've got to help others. I've got to clean house. And I've just got to do a few simple things. A few simple things for just so much back. Because I need to be connected to you so I can connect to God. And if I'm not connected to God, I'm not connected to you. Meaning, if I'm not connected to God, I'm sat in a meeting, I'm criticising, I'm comparing, I'm thinking I'm better than or I'm less than. I'm stood up here and I'm thinking, oh no, what do I look like? What do I sound like? If I'm not connected to God. So the step one experience I was thinking about, I came out of, I think it was my second treatment centre. And I'm sure there's been a few people in here who've been in treatment centres. And maybe it was my first one, because I was in there and I thought everyone was going to be my mate forever. Anyone relate to that? Yeah, we're going to be pals forever. He's my best pal now. I've only known him 12 weeks, but yeah, we're going to, we're blood brothers. And we get invited to this barbecue by another geezer out of our rehab. Bearing in mind, all 5 of us have had really hardcore detoxes off. I went into a Salvation Army place before the rehab, and I detoxed off massive amount of methadone, big smack habit, benzos, alcohol, and it was painful. It wasn't pleasant. And so we're having a barbecue, and literally nothing was said. It was someone gave me a look. Someone just gave me a look, and I'm just like, yeah, right. At that moment, I cannot bring to mind with sufficient force the misery that I went through only 12 weeks ago. Because I've got a broken mind, and what I've learned the years I've been about, not that many years, 5 years, through the grace of God. I've learned that I can't fix a broken mind with a broken mind. But yet I'll keep on trying. Because I was one of these people in and out of the rooms for 10 years without picking up a single step. How insane is that? I thought meetings were the answer. And don't get me wrong, I love meetings, but meetings don't take me to the solution. Meetings don't take me to God. Meetings alone, unrecovered, just take me into a place of resentment, actually. Whether the message was carried or not, I don't really know. Maybe I just wasn't hearing it. I don't know. But this is the thing. In that moment, when that geezer looked at me, we all ended up using. We didn't have any power not to. We thought it would be different. All the same messages, I can probably smoke crack like a gentleman today. It will definitely be different. As long as I just have one bag of smack today and don't use tomorrow, it will be all right. So we all used, and because we didn't have any power not to. And it was almost like one part of me was going, don't do it, kind of a little whisper, don't do it. But then as soon as I did it, a massive voice going, what have you done? You loser. You've just wasted all that time in rehab and I was going to swear then, but I got a text off Richard Eve this morning telling me not to swear, so I don't. And I remember, I don't know why I'm laughing, my mate OD'd. I remember he took a hit and he went grey and he just hit the deck. But I smoked his crack before going to him. Because in that moment I'm absolutely insane. I don't care if my friend's dying. I just thought, what just come into my head? Because I'm just going where the Spirit leads me, right? At the end of my using, and I forgot to time myself, apologies. At the end of my using, I remember I used to go into this crack den. I was living on this block, this estate, blocks everywhere. Your stereotypical sort of drug estate. And I walked in there, and I literally didn't want to use. The last 7 years of my using, I didn't want to use. I wasn't going at it, going, this is amazing. I didn't want to use. I just didn't know how not to. I could stop, but I couldn't stay stopped. And I remember walking into this crack house, and it was literally like a scene from the Upside Down World. You know that film, Stranger Things? When I'm in the madness, I live in the upside down world. I'm part of the world, but I'm not part of the world. I can't seem to connect. I'm very disconnected from myself, from you, certainly from God. Because God's always there. It's just that I've been blind. I've been living on the lower power of existence because I didn't know there was another way. I couldn't seem to find this missing part of me, the puzzle. I was always looking in the wrong places. Drugs, alcohol, women, gambling, anything. And it says in the big book, on page 52, or 55, sorry. Deep down in every man, woman and child is the fundamental idea of God. Or if you don't like that word, use the word good. The fundamental idea of goodness is in my soul. And I was having a conversation with someone yesterday. And I was saying, I see there's a baby in the house. Like miracles, right? Miracles. We take it for granted, don't we? But this little thing comes out and it's born and it just blows my mind. Because I look at life in a completely different way today because I've gone through this spiritual awakening and I continue to go for it because it's not a one-time deal. Something has shifted in my soul. And I'm talking to the newcomer. All I came in here for was to stop using drugs and alcohol. That would have been enough at that moment. And I remember my sponsor said to me, and he's got 34 years of clean time. And I didn't pick him because he had that amount of time, because I don't think it really matters. I know people at 3 months who I'd be happy for them to sponsor me because they're on fire. And I know guys at 30 years, I wouldn't want anything they've got. Maybe that's me being judgmental and all that. Too spiritual for that. I'm full of flaws. I'm a broken human being. But this is one of the wonderful things this program has given me. The ability to accept and embrace my flaws. Because it's through my brokenness that I let the sunlight in. It's in the rubble that I find the gems. It's in the rubble I find the gems. So my sponsor, the reason why I picked him, if you're in the rooms, if you're in this room today and you're new in, as I said at the beginning, you're so welcome. We've got a solution. There's a bit in the book that says, rarely have we seen a person fail who thoroughly follows our path. Rarely have I seen a person fail who thoroughly follows this path. Rarely have I seen a person who isn't full of joy who thoroughly follows this path. Rarely have I seen a person who struggles with life who thoroughly follows this path. So what's the path? It's a spiritual one. Ooh, I don't know about that. Yeah, but you're dying young, you're dying. Oh, I don't know, mate, I don't know. And my sponsor, he's a beautiful man. He's not my higher power. He's very, very flawed as well. Why I picked him? Because he wasn't just sounding all good on a share, quoting the big book. Because any fool can learn this book, right? Any fool can learn any book, quote it and all that. He was living it. I was watching him outside the meetings. His actions said everything. And I know the word today. I didn't know it then. He had humility. And he was showing love to people that weren't lovable like me. Because when I came into the rooms of Cocaine Anonymous, I was still using. And I was just coming in to eat your biscuits. Because I wasn't eating for days. Because at the end, I was a gyro junkie. I couldn't even go out and rob and get my money and all that. I was a pathetic human being. because lack of power was my dilemma and I couldn't do anything about it. When I came in, I was 8 stone in weight, bones sticking out of my cheek, looking in the mirror every single day and wanting to die. I believe in miracles today. I know I am a miracle. I know a lot of you lot are. Because we're sat here, we're no longer fighting anything or anyone, even drugs or alcohol. That's a miracle for someone like me who always needed to be right. A lot of peace started coming into my soul when I understand I don't need to be right today. Where I understand what I want doesn't matter. That's what I was talking about. Any newcomers? You can see I'm jumping about a little bit. If you haven't got a sponsor is someone who will guide you through these 12 steps. These 12 steps, this big book isn't the solution. It takes me to the solution, which is God. God, good, peace, love, light. The word doesn't matter. It's a word, just a word. I cannot understand the divine, something that created all this. And I'm trying to understand it because it's my ego that is my disease. Because steps 4 to 9 reveal and expose my ego. And that it's my ego that is my disease. My ego wants reason and wants logic. But this is a spiritual program that goes beyond that. It cannot be intellectualized. I've just got to throw myself in and have an experience. And I've taken many people through the 12 steps. I've been so blessed. People keep presenting themselves to me. God keeps doing that. And not one who has followed these clear-cut directions in this beautiful big book, not one has not had a spiritual experience or a spiritual awakening. There's been many that have picked up because they haven't given themselves fully, thoroughly on this path. Maybe they weren't ready. Who knows? I don't know. So, each time I come out of a treatment centre, I would tell myself, I'm done. Of course I'm done. I've learned about relapse prevention. That will definitely keep me from relapsing. Anyway, has it worked with anyone in here? Or triggers. I hate that one. Triggers is nonsense for a drug addict. A drug addict whose lack of power. Let's think about those stories in the big book. We've got Jim's story, right? Jim mixes it with milk, whiskey with milk, invented Baileys, maybe. And Jim says, suddenly, the thought crossed my head. So, suddenly, but I'd change that word to inevitably. Because this illness, right, I know from my experience, maybe you know for yours, I take drugs out of me and alcohol out of me, and I don't feel better, I feel worse. Because it's my solution to life. And I look at this illness like the Terminator, the film from the 80s. It doesn't suddenly say, right, there you go and have a nice life, I'm going to leave you alone. I'm going to leave you alone now, not knock on your door. It keeps on chasing me, but I've got no idea. I cannot see the truth. I cannot see, because remember, if the main problem centres in my mind, which it does, my mind's telling me, you're all right, you've got this. You've got new Nike Air Maxes on. It's not saying, you're going to pick up today. It's convincing me that I'm okay. It's convincing me, I don't really need to do these steps. I don't need to get to God. It's got a bit in the 12 and 12 where it says, it's only through repeated humiliations that we're able to make a humble admission of powerlessness. Because to make that humble admission that whatever I seem to do, I am going to pick up. I'm all in. I'm all in. I think maybe that's why I'm all in today. It's not out of fear, because I'm safe and protected. The more I get connected to God, the more peace I feel in my soul. And the more peace I feel in my soul, the more helpful I can be to you lot. And I remember when I was like a few months in, my sponsor, I phoned him up and I started moaning about something. And he said, have you finished? And I said, no, I haven't. I goes, right, what shall I do? And he goes, go and help someone. What do you mean? I need help. I need help. But he said, you need to get out of yourself. Why do you think you got out of your head so much all your life? Because you didn't like it in there. You're trying to do the impossible, young. First of all, you were trying to get rid of drug addiction, alcoholism, using the brain that creates the problem. Now you're trying to get rid of resentment, using the brain that creates the problem. You're trying to get rid of selfishness, fear, blah, 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 blah. The answer's outside of yourself. And I thought I was an atheist when I came in, as many do, because I work with enough people, atheist, agnostic, or as soon as the word God is mentioned, like I've said before. And my sponsor said to me, "You're full of prejudice." And I said, "What do you mean? What does that mean?" He said, "It's like me saying to you, do you want a cup of coffee?" And I say, "No, I don't like coffee. Actually, I hate coffee. Hate coffee. Have you ever tried coffee?" "No, I never tried it. I just know I won't like it. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. But the ego in me is trying to tell me this. Nah, I don't know though. I see these miracles in the corner, but my mind's trying to convince myself it isn't so." That's insanity. I can see it so clearly today. Because it really is simple, this program. It's as simple as the guys that launch themselves in with enthusiasm stick around. It's all about persistence. It's about persistence. God has to work through me every single day. Faith has to work through me every single day. And if not, I will suffer. I'll be trapped in the bondage of myself. I'll be thinking I'm not good enough. You're a bit more annoying, not you personally. Him, I start having a conversation with myself in my head. When I came into this program, my head was an absolute disaster. Washing machine, they call it, don't they? Washing machine head. Today it feels like a whisper in there. A whisper. I can't believe it. Was that an advert? A whisper, can't believe it. Because I follow these practices of deep, deep prayer and meditation. Because it instructs me to do that in step 11. And often when I speak to guys who say they're struggling and I say, "What does your prayer and meditation life look like?" And they say, I pray, but I don't meditate. I say, "You're missing something amazing and beautiful." He said, "I've tried it, I can't do it." I said, "Well, when I first tried to ride a bike and I took the stabilizers off, I couldn't do it either. But after a bit of practice, it just started happening naturally." So I do these things every day. Being connected to God is the most important thing in my soul. And, I put this before everything else. It does come before my kids, my partner, my job. And someone once came up to me and had an issue with that, which is fine. And they said, "How can this come before your kids?" And I said, "My kids have never been able to keep me sober." And I'll tell you this one story, and I often share this. And my partner always says, "Oh, don't share that again," but I will, so apologies. Love you, Rach. I came out of yet another treatment centre. Once again, this time it's going to be different. Because this is the thing, with my illness, untreated, I get knocked to the canvas, I get up again, I get knocked, and each time I really believe it's going to be different. It's like the geezer who plays the lotto. Been playing it for 30 years, never won anything, but this Saturday, definitely. Summit. That delusion hasn't been smashed. The delusion that I can't do anything about it hasn't been smashed. And it has to be, so that I can get to God, or this power. Because without this power, I am powerless. So, I get out of the treatment centre again. And some counsellor has told me to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Doesn't say that anywhere in the big book, does it? Don't get me wrong, look, if I'm new in, I'll be going to meetings every day. But I could be going to 5 meetings a day. If I'm not working through the 12 steps, I'm not going through any transformation and any change. And I haven't got any mental defence. Because let's think about this. When you get a strange thought, a weird thought just comes into your head, and you think, where's that come from? Are you choosing for that thought to come into your head? No. So am I choosing? Do I get to choose when the thought's going to come into my head and go, "Do you know what? You can smoke a bit of whatever today"? I don't know when it's coming. I'm a ticking time bomb untreated. So I come out of that place. I'm going to 1990, and I think I'm really well. Like, I really do. Because I don't feel as shit as I did when I first came in. And it often happens, doesn't it? Newcomers come in. Well, I'll talk about myself. I came into the rooms. After a few months, I'm picking up, badges or whatever, key rings, and I'm trying to do the impossible. But I don't know that I'm doing that. I'm trying to fix my spiritual malady with the external. Things start getting better in my life, and I'm not enlarging a spiritual life. I'm not thoroughly following a path. I'm following my own path. Because I'm able to stay clean and sober on my own for a little bit of time. I think 8 months was the most I did. So I'm driving down the motorway. I was living in Essex. Basildon. Not a nice place. I hope no one's from Basildon there. I'm really sorry if you are. I was living in Brentwood, which was much nicer. But I'd lost everything. Because I used to be a DJ, right? And I used to fly around the world, usually for smack up my arse and a few shots in my mouth so I could snort a bit on the plane. But I used to have things materially, right? I used to have things materially before it went totally tits up. And it went very tits up. The missus threw me out. She found out what I was doing. I ended up working for a Bengali drug gang, selling crack and heroin in East London. And then things kept getting worse and worse, because what I know today from my experience, it's a progressive illness. Progressive. Gets worse and ever better. And it would get worse and worse and worse. Each time I thought, this is a rock bottom, it can't get any worse than this. And it always did. So that time, I'm 1990, I've come out of a treatment centre, I'm driving down the motorway, and I'm going to see my kids, who I love more than anything else in the world. Of course I do, they're my children. I would take a bullet for my children. And I'm really looking forward to seeing them, right? I'm so looking forward to seeing them because I've not seen them for months. And even when I did see them, I didn't really see them, if you know what I mean. Because I'm a ghost when I'm a ghost. My ex-missus used to call me the Walking Dead, I literally looked like I'd just been dug up. And I'm emotionally just so not there. Anyway, so I'm really looking forward to seeing my kids. And I'm driving down the motorway. I'm driving down. All I've got to do to see my children is turn left. Anyone can turn left. Anyone can turn left. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, this thought just goes, if you stay on the motorway, you can go down to East London and score. Oh, fuck. I'm literally trying with all my heart and soul to turn left because I don't want to use. I'm trying with all my power to turn left. At that moment, my heart has broken into a million pieces because I know what's going to happen. And I know if I use again, I ain't going to see my kids maybe for years. And I start crying. I didn't see my kids for a long, long time after that. I wasn't choosing drugs over my children. I just didn't have a choice. But today I have a choice. And what I mean by that is, I have a choice if I pick up my spiritual toolkit. I didn't used to have a choice whether I'm going to use or not. When I wake up in the morning, I can either plug into faith or I can plug into fear. If I start the day watching the news, I'm plugging into fear. I got rid of my TV 7 years ago. Best thing I ever did. I don't read newspapers either. If I read newspapers, I'm plugging into fear. It doesn't feed my soul. And my sponsor said to me, look, Young, whatever you do in your life from this moment, ask yourself, is this feeding your soul? Is this helping you to help others? Or is it feeding that messed up head of yours? That the slightest inclination of fear? Because let's think about it. What's my main problem is all these defects of character. And they all come from fear. Selfish, self-centered, driven by 100 forms of fear. I was listening to Ralph White the other day, great speaker. And he said, why? It was like, we often talk about why there's so little written about the steps 6 and 7 in the big book. He said, because the whole thing is about defects of character. Let's think about it. When we go through step 3, it says, my main problem isn't drugs or alcohol. It's selfishness, self-centeredness, driven by 100 forms of fear, self-pity, self-delusion, self. This is my problem. Self. And those guys from Scotland, Stephen, I can't remember the other guy, did a great talk on that the other day. And I think about this step 3 decision. I think about the word incision, to cut away. I'm trying to cut away the self. And that's what every spiritual practice is trying to do. You think about monks who go and meditate for 6 months in the Himalaya mountains, they're trying to cut away the self. But we can do that through the 12 steps, through the consistent practice of the 12 steps. I go through this transformation where I find peace in my soul. I'm no longer fighting anything or anybody. That's what I have to ask myself when I'm doing my review at the end of the night. Have I been fighting anyone or anything today? It can be as simple as if someone's, not serving me the way I think life should go, and I'm sarcastic. I haven't ceased fighting. But it's spiritual progress, not spiritual perfection, right? So, I didn't see my kids for a long time. I'll fast forward to the end and then let's get into the solution. Because that's where we want to live, right? I don't want to be sat in the problem talking about my using all the time. I know how to not use successfully, unsuccessfully. I want to talk, when I used to sit in the rooms and someone would talk, I used to think, right, you haven't told me how you've got well, how you stay well. That's what I need to know because I'm dying here. Because my sponsor said to me, and whenever I share it, look, I'm never telling anyone how to work your program. If it's working for you, please carry on. But my sponsor said to me, Young, the 12 steps are meant to be gone through quickly, but then a lifetime to practice. This is a lifetime's practice. There's no end to the spiritual journey. There's no ultimate destination. We just keep going and going and going. And a perfect way not to be restless, irritable, and discontent in your sobriety, don't take your foot off the gas. As the years go on, I just put it more and more down because I love the effect produced. Like I like the effect produced by drugs, I like the effect produced by God. I love the effect produced by God. And all I came in here to do was to not drink or not use. If I could go around today and touch every single one of you and show you what's available for you, you would just be like, whoa, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do step 1 now. So the end of my using. I'd lost everything about 4 times over. I'm living in this squalid flat. I've got no possessions, sold them all to crack converters. I've literally got a sofa and I've got a cracked phone. That's it. That's my existence. I'm not eating for days because as soon as I'm getting my gyro, it's all going on drugs. I'm not sort of thinking, how am I going to eat for the next 2 weeks? Not thinking that at all. So that was the end of my existence, right? And I say the end of my existence because I was to go through a rebirth. I was going to be raised from the dead to a level of life better than the best I could ever imagine. This is what's happened to me. This is what continues to happen to me. This is what's on offer for any of you lot here today because we all have the same program. Who's thoroughly following it? That's what I have to ask myself. I don't look at anyone else today. I'm just looking at myself. But that was the gift I was given. Being visited by those 4 horsemen every single day. Terror, bewilderment, frustration and despair. That was the gift I was given. Going into that crack house right at the end and looking, oh God, it was just, in this one room was just crazy stuff happening with, I won't even go into it. It was disgusting. There was bodies that looked like they were dead, but all I wanted was my drugs. And I remember looking up on the wall and someone had written in blood, help me. And it was almost like something happened to me in that moment. Something was speaking to me. I knew I was going to die. That was a gift. That was the gift I was given. Because then a series of events happened. I've got no idea how long I've got. 10 minutes. Thank you. A series of events happened to me that I know was God. God was always there trying to squeeze me, trying to just go wake up, wake up, wake up. Because deep down in every man, woman and child is the fundamental idea of God. And I think back to those moments when I almost died. There was a time in New York when I had a knife to my throat over a drug deal gone bad, blah, 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 blah. At those moments, every single time, as an atheist, I went, please God help me. When I've got nowhere else to go, it's only then I cry out for the Almighty or for this divine power. In the last analysis, when I've got nowhere else to go, please, I don't want my mum to die. Why did I say that? I don't even believe in God. Because it's deep down in every man, woman and child. I'm just very blocked off, and I've got to go through this process that unblocks me, and then I have to keep unblocked. Because my sponsor said to me, Young, take my hand, like you guys do in beautiful Cocaine Anonymous. Take my hand. I can show you the way out of hell, and I can show you how you never have to go in there again. You never have to go back to hell again. So I managed to go into another detox/psych unit, which I didn't mind it in there, really. I just used to steal drugs off everyone because they were all mental. Anyway, sorry, bad joke. I'm not a comedian, by the way, right? So I went in there, and then and I've got to give a shout out, Sheffield Council. They funded me again. I used to be so all right, give me funding. These people helped me. These people helped me. I see that today. I'm very grateful. And I said to the geezer, right, I want to go back into that rehab. And he said to me, Young, you've already been in that one. Why don't you try another one? And by a twist of fate, this rehab was a 12-step treatment centre. All they do in Big Book was Big Book. And the guy who set it up, who would become my teacher, his teacher was Joe McHugh from Joe and Charlie. That wouldn't have meant anything to me then, but I understand what a gift I was given, right? And so I just threw myself in, going back to step one. Knowing the hopelessness of my condition, knowing there's nowhere else to go for me, I was all in from that moment to this moment. Got a sponsor when I came out of there, like I've already talked about to you. He was sharing, and I thought, this guy's got something that I want. He spoke that he used to be a junkie like me. He spoke that he used to find life really difficult, sober, like me, clean, like me. Because that was my problem, my sobriety problem. Being clean without a program, I find really difficult. I find life challenging. He was talking about life becoming really lifey and him not struggling with it. And I thought, right, I want what he's got. So he said, right, let's get into this stuff now. Because he said, Young, you're like a ticking time bomb. I don't know how much time you've got before you pick up again. Let's get into the work. Let's get into this stuff. And something happened to me around step 4. And it's different for everyone, but I'm just telling my story. Something had shifted in my soul. I only know it with hindsight. Suddenly I'm starting to look at the world in a slightly different way. Suddenly I'm starting to notice people smiling at me. Suddenly I'm starting to notice the sun, the rain's beautiful. Something's happened to me. This is my truth. For my first step 4, because I go through the steps once a year with a different teacher. Because this is the beautiful thing with the Zoom revolution. I've got teachers around the world now. I say this to my sponsees, because I tell them to get a tribe of solid guys, teachers. I said, if you were a team, I'm not going to say Manchester United, because, I know we've got a thing, Liverpool. Say if you're Barcelona, right? You wouldn't pick your players just from Barcelona, would you? Why? Because they've got the whole world at their fingertips. So that's what I do today. I pick my teachers from it doesn't matter where they're from, but, we've got this worldwide fellowship. We're all connected. Like I said at the beginning, if I'm not connected to you, then I'm not connected to God. And if I'm not connected to God, I'm not connected to you. So we went through the steps, and when we got to the end, and it's been talked about a lot during this beautiful weekend. I've got to give a shout out to all the committee, man. Amazing job. It's been lovely, it's been so amazing. He said, Young, and he said at the beginning, he said, I'm not taking a sponsee through the work. I'm taking a future sponsor. This is the deal. To keep this gift, you have to give away this gift. And from that moment to this moment, I've always had many, many sponsees. Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m, or Monday to Sunday quite a lot, I'm always taking people through this work. During this amazing weekend, someone's presented themselves to me. And it's an absolute privilege to be able to pass on this beautiful message. Because that's all we are, aren't we? We're just guides. I can't give someone clean time or sobriety. I can't do anything for them like that. But I can say, here's the water. I can see you're thirsty. Spiritual program of action. So I started doing service. Because I started looking in the rooms, and it seemed to be those same people that were always doing service that seemed to stick around. And my first bit of service was making tea and coffee. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be last in the room, first out. See you later, I don't want to speak to you lot. But I started to feel involved. I started to feel less spiky. I started to ask all these old-timers about, what does this step mean? What's this bit of service? I felt like a sponge. Because I knew without this stuff, I'm going to die. I ain't taking my foot off the gas. And then the more I did it, the better I seemed to feel. Because you guys have shown me the secret to life. It's usefulness. I thought life was all about being happy. I need to create happiness. I need to be the director. If only it goes this way, I'm going to be really happy. And do. But it's not. It's being useful. Because the more useful I am, happiness just seems to come as a byproduct. And when I came into these rooms, I felt so broken, so scared, so alone, so full of fear, so paranoid. And I didn't think I could ever get well. I didn't think I could ever get better. But it was you guys that give me the hope. Seeing the look in your eyes, I thought, you know what? There is a solution here, right? But I need to put in a bit of action. And I wasn't doing that before. I was just coming to meetings. So, I know my time's coming up. If there's any newcomers in here today, or anyone who's been around for a while who's feeling restless, irritable and discontent, we have got a solution. The more I give myself to this stuff, the more free that I feel from myself, the bondage of my head, the more peaceful it becomes. And so drugs and alcohol isn't a thing today. But I have to keep in a fit spiritual condition. I'm going to end on two things, if that's all right. So I started doing a lot of service, and at the beginning of COVID, I just thought, how are we going to reach the newcomer? And I set up this WhatsApp group called Audio Anonymous. And it's almost 3 years old, actually. And during then, WhatsApp only let you have 257 people in each group. So I had to keep on setting up more and more. And there's over 5,000 people on that today. And I know it's all these little ways that I can help pass a message on. I can be a tiny, tiny little cog in a massive, massive wheel. If anyone wants to be added to that, come and see me. I'll happily add you to it. Post one recorded share every morning. I've also just set up a new meeting because I started moaning about meetings. You know, Cameron talked about those meetings. We all know him where, you know, we've got someone talking about their dog and blah, 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 blah. And I was moaning and bitching and moaning and bitching. And my sponsor said, well, just set up meetings then. Set something up. Create the fellowship you crave, young. And so I do that. And we've just set up a new one on Zoom, actually, Unshakable Foundation, Tuesdays. That's my shout out. Right, I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it on this reading. I promised I wouldn't go over and I forgot to time myself. Okay. I've got to put my glasses on because I'm getting old. When I'm willing to do the right thing, I am rewarded with an inner peace no amount of liquor could ever provide, or no amount of cocaine, heroin, pills. When I'm unwilling to do the right thing, I become restless, irritable, and discontent. It is always my choice. Through the 12 steps, I have been granted the gift of choice. I am no longer at the mercy of a disease that tells me the only answer is to drink or use. If willingness is the key to unlock the gates of hell. It's action that opens those doors so we may walk freely among the living. My name's Young. I'm a very, very grateful recovered alcoholic.
Wow. Thank you, Young. Great message, great share. My voice has gone. I'm going to invite Dave up to do a clean sign countdown. Yeah, some of you have waited all weekend for it. Some of you love him, some of you hate him. I can guarantee you he's going to swear, he's going to use the word cunt, and he's going to use the word twat. And he's going to call people sick fuckers. But it's good. When we get to the last 30 days, newcomers will get up, come to the front, we'll give you a book, T-shirt, and a couple of bits. Yeah, and we hope you keep coming back. Yeah, that's the deal. So, get ready for this. Yeah, he's going to come down this middle aisle like a fucking steam train. Let's hit it. Come on.
Can we put the lights on so I can see everybody? There you go. Can we do it with these two here, Matt, please? I've gone blind! Right. Before I start, don't check the fucking piss, Martin. I've got the fucking mic, not you, yeah? So get on this. This weekend, we've had 1,343 years, 7 months and 15 days in the house. How good is that? I've got a load of jokes in my head, but I thought I better not say them. Especially the Scouse one, you know what I mean? We've had enough of that. I'd like to thank Dads. Thank Dads for the 5 chairs that he's done this weekend, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? No wonder he's got no voice.